that there must be a lot of old dead bodies there. I wonder if they're like the stacked on top kind or.
Paul Revere.
Oh,
If
sure.
Paul Revere is in the human stack, I would like to think he's at the top.
No, he's at
Right?
the
Like
bottom. He's way
he's
at
at
the
the
bottom
bottom.
because they got to put
Yeah,
people
but
on
like,
top of him.
yeah,
They're
but
not going
he's
to keep
important. So
adding him
like, you
on
gotta like,
top.
no, you gotta keep, yeah, you gotta move him up. You gotta move him up. You can't put
No,
Paul Revere on the bottom.
he's literally first.
Paul
That's
Revere is not a bottom bitch. Okay,
oh
Bex.
my God. He's the foundation. He's the founding father of.
Then we went to the Old Corner bookstore, which might be the worst bookstore that I have ever been to in my life. Because what is it now,
a
Bex?
Chipotle.
A
I mean, we could
Chipotle.
read the bags. There's a lot of text on those bags. Chipotle.
So it seems very fancy. And that,
Yeah, we'll have to really
that's
pick our
gonna be
wardrobe
good.
for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Refined.
after Labor Day, so we can't
cannot
wear white.
We must be refined, elegant.
Do I have to wear gloves?
I was thinking gloves. Deep V cleavage. Me coming in like Katharine Hepburn? Yes, please.
Yes, and can you get like a big white, like fluffy blouse with like the frills, you know, like very like, oh, get the wig, get the powdered
And we
wig.
will once again be mistaken for a fabulous lesbian couple. Family Faust. Family Faust.
Oh, we went to Mexico and they're like, you do? Yeah.
Wow, what a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome to We're Experts Now. Just over here, really doing life right today, feeling on top of the game. My name's Rebecca. I'm your co-host.
I'm Jackie, and that was all sarcasm. We are both on the struggle bus hard today. It's been a struggle bus week for me. So Sunday's just the cherry on top for us, right?
Yeah, so listen in to commiserate how you're also on the struggle bus, or to feel better about yourself, for at least you're not on the struggle bus like us today.
Yeah, maybe you're just hungover and you just need to lay in your bed and starfish, like listening to a podcast, because that is sometimes what I occasionally do. I just lay there hungover, can't even put the mental energy of a television in. Just gotta only purely
Hot
listen.
tip, put one foot on the floor. It will help your equilibrium.
Okay, I needed to hear that last week when I had a hangover and food poisoning. It was a stomach bug. It was the way I started out this week. So this week is already thriving. And Bex over here, luckily you don't really make it on our technology today. Her technology.
Yeah. It's just my sort of like my status in life. All my I'm at the like social status in life where all my things are constantly hanging on by a thread. And I'm like, I can squeeze 3 more months out of this laptop that only opens 45 degrees. And I can figure out how to make that work for another 3.5 months. Sure.
And I am trying to do it emotionally right now. I am barely hanging on by a thread. But I did start a new hobby this week, which is piano playing, which I've really been vibing. And it has been my new, oh, today's been stressful. I'm going to vibe out and do something creative.
I love that.
Which is something I really never thought would happen.
She swats at her cat.
He's just over here scratching on a thing. So you guys are going to hear the dunk, dunk, dunk in the background, which y'all probably think that there's like someone just always knocking on my door. Like I'm in like the direct path of Jehovah's Witnesses. But no, it's just my cats.
And you know what? We love our Jehovah's Witness listeners.
And speaking of knocking on the door, I'm going to be leaving home soon. And where are we going, Bex?
We are hitting the road once again. We are going to Boston, the Boston Commons, the Harvard Yard with the khakis.
Are we going to throw some tea?
We're going to get in on the tea. We're going to
get some tea. Or we might throw tea.
Might pour some out in the harbor just to be a patriot.
Okay, maybe we go to the harbor and I spill some gossipy tea. And
yes. It's an eco-friendly version.
Right, like I struggle because like I feel like Boston is such like a historical place, and I love history and I love learning about all that, but we also like kind of in today's day and age know how horrible the roots of this country were.
Right.
So as much as I'm like really excited to see somewhere with all this history, I'm like, ooh, but slavery.
I know.
Yeah, this is where you guys were really alive and well.
Growing up and understanding colonialism sure does cast a different light on the history we've learned.
It really does. And I think you mentioned this in the Salem episode. You've been to Boston before. Anything that you loved last time that you're looking forward to seeing
I
again?
do really like the vibes of Boston. They've got great common areas like parks and stuff, and it's, very historic. The architecture has a nice, I like anywhere that has like a sense of self. And Boston certainly has like an identity and sort of like rich cultural like feeling, and even just like the buildings, the architecture, the aesthetic, the way it looks is the sort of that like pretty what's that area called? The um
New England?
New England. I was like, brain is out of gas. No more clues available.
And I was so unsure.
No.
I was like, it's not New England. She's not going to go with New England. I'm going to sound so stupid when I say this.
Yes, it has the New Englandy sort of like nautical, harbory, exposed brick feel. And there's some really great bookstores there. And of course, I'm a big shellfish and mollusk girl. I love me some seafood.
Yeah,
I love
she
some
is.
chowder. I love some oysters.
She does.
So
I confirm.
salty me, loved it.
This is not sus. This is all
There's no cap, Jackie. No cap.
No cap. No cap. Not
Total
sus.
Riz.
I'm excited because I actually haven't been to any of New England, and I think like you and I talked about this, but you're not going to join me on my little crazy journey. But I'm going to go like all over. I'm going to hit up Connecticut.
Wow.
I'm going to hit up New Hampshire. I'm going to hit up Vermont. I'm going to hit Maine. I'm going to do like a 7-hour loop and hit all the countries all the states I haven't been into, because it's also going to be fall, and I've always wanted to see that part of the country in fall. As someone who's like mostly grown up in California, and you throw like some Florida in there, I've really never experienced fall. So I'm excited. And then I feel like Boston's not far from Philly, is it? Are they far away? I don't know.
Kind of. I mean, Pennsylvania itself is a big state, and Philly's on the east side of the state. So I think, I mean.
And so Pennsylvania's not New England, right?
No. Pennsylvania is like Pennsylvania Dutch.
That's right. Have you seen the Amish?
Have you seen the Amish? I've seen the Amish. Yeah. For
like, did you go to Amish? I would love to
certain,
do that
sure.
One day.
Yeah. I've done a fair bit of traveling by car around the state of Pennsylvania when I was dating a musician, went on a bunch of little gigs with them.
Does help.
And also the Amish themselves have like standing in the community of Philly. And so there's like several markets you can go, or the Reading Terminal Market would be the main one that I know of, that there's, permanent stalls where you can buy Amish goods, like fresh churned butter and stuff like that. And I'm
about it.
Really good. I'm looking at a map because that's how little I know about.
I did too. We both did it. I'm glad we went there. It is decently far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like New York is like halfway between, it looks like. And
we got a chunk of another state in between Philly and Boston. But it's close to Rhode Island, so we'll just leave it at that.
Correctamundo. Okay, so we are going to Boston. I have never been. I'm really excited. I think that Boston is one of what I call tier 1 cities, which is not a formal rating. This is just a Jackie rating of tier 1 cities in the U.S. that I want to go to. Things on that list, like Chicago, Seattle, like all the really.
Would you put Atlanta on that list?
Atlanta was on the list for me.
Nashville?
And Nashville is on the list, but I've already been to Nashville. Same with Atlanta and all the other ones.
I just wanted to get a sense of this rating system.
It's like Santa Fe is also on the list, like much smaller place, but I really wanted to go. Same thing with like Sedona, Arizona. So out of the tier 1 cities that I really wanted to go to, felt like in my lifetime, all I have left is Boston and Austin. Which is really so we'll make Boston happen. I'm really excited. I had an ex-boyfriend from South Boston, and that was always funny when he was drunk because the accent would come out, and I feel like, what are you doing? I can't do it. I'm gonna shut up right now. But so I'm excited to finally make it to Boston. And Bex, do you know where we're going?
Do I know where we're going? I mean, I hope we're going to the harbor to see some tea time stuff. Where are we going?
I was like, Have I told you? No
I
one
know. I was
knows.
like, was I supposed to be the one who spearheaded where we were going? I'm like, I
Mm-mm.
don't know. Don't
No, that's always me. I'm always figuring these things out. It's actually a group effort. I come up with this like a suggested list for the listeners and want to know what the background behind the scenes is. Come up with a list, and then Bex and I narrow it down by what seems like the most fun.
I'm a yes
So
ander. I just show up and go with it.
that's true. So we are going to do kind of a couple things. So one of the first things that we're doing is we're going to go to the Boston Public Library, and we're going to do high tea, which I'm like really excited
Oh,
about.
cute. I love high tea. Like you actually sit down, you
I
have the
love high tea
course
too.
tea and the cakes and the tiered platters and
Yep.
love it.
And it's at the Boston Public Library, which I don't know a ton about, but I assume is a really cool old building with a lot of really cool old books,
Mm,
which are like both of those things I love.
yes.
So it seems very fancy. And
Yeah, we'll have to really
that's
pick
gonna
our
be
wardrobe
fun.
for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be after
Refined.
Labor Day, so we
We
can't wear
cannot wear
white.
white. We must be refined, elegant.
Do I have to wear gloves?
I was thinking gloves, deep V cleavage. How do
Yes, absolutely. What do
what do
you
you wear
wear
to
to
high
high
tea?
tea?
I think unfortunately probably a big frilly dress, which I
A floral knee-length
yeah, tea
dress.
length, right?
Mm-hmm,
Hmm.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I do
But I
love tea
only
length
have
dresses.
that kind of dress in like blacks. I'm not a like neutral pastel.
Or you could do a midi skirt
Oh,
and a dressy
you know what?
blouse.
I have something. Listener, don't you worry.
Or tailored pants.
Oh, okay. Yes. Me
You
coming in like Katharine Hepburn. Yes, please.
Yes, and can you get like a big white like fluffy blouse with like the frills, like very like oh, get the wig, get the powdered
And we will
wig.
once again be mistaken for a fabulous lesbian couple. Family Faust.
Wait,
Family
was
Faust.
that? Oh, we went to Mexico and they're like, you do? Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. We're lesbians. Thank y'all. Um, okay. So we're gonna do that. I don't know a ton of information. Do you think anything big happened at the Boston Tea Library? No, the
The
Boston
Boston
Library. It's
Library.
not a tea
Oh,
library.
I was like, what is that? How would that? Okay.
I actually would love a tea
I don't know.
library.
Is
That would
it
be
sort of
sweet.
like it's just a regular library, right? It's not like a mini Library of Congress or anything.
I assume it's like old, so it probably has like a lot of historical things that like on the West Coast, if you went to the San Francisco Public Library, I assume things that have happened are not as interesting there, right? I feel like there's probably a little bit more history of like, oh, George Washington had lunch here one time, or
Well, it depends on how
that
old
we
it is,
wouldn't.
I guess. Yeah, or if there's like really
That's what I'm
cool
saying.
paintings there, like almost like half museum kind of thing.
Yeah, like I bet it's like definitely like because that's what like when I guess I wasn't verbalizing that before. I totally picture it like more of a
Ah,
museum than a
okay,
library.
okay, yes. I could see that. I could see there being like collections, sort of a wing of things to look at that are significant. But then hopefully we can get our library cards while we're there. I actually need to get my library card here in LA. Oopsies. I got it in Sacramento, but
I
not
don't buy library
not
cards.
since.
I had one in Sacramento too. But that's because I did historical research when I lived in Sacramento at one point. And so I used to go to there's like a periodicals library at like one of the courthouses. I
Ooh.
think it's like the Supreme Court in Sacramento. And you have to like get background checked and all this stuff to go into any of it. And you get to like pull out all these old archives. And for me, I was doing microfilm, right? So like
Microfiche.
pulling up articles from like the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, and then like scrolling through it slowly and slowly looking up all this stuff, which is actually like that's something that's going to be disappearing as we like digitize the world, right? And it's something that a lot of people will never experience in their lifetime, and I think it's really cool that I got to do it. So
It's like
I'm
looking at a
about
phone
that.
book or something that we don't really do anymore. Well, yeah, maybe we can have a Nancy Drew moment, where we sort of peer through articles and texts and stuff. Yeah, I bet there's some weird constitutional stuff, or it's uh, Massachusetts was one of the original colonies. Boston was. I don't know how the colonies
Mhm.
work. Yeah,
Massachusetts was the
Massachusetts. Yeah.
original colony. Yep. Okay, so in the kind of vein of history, we're gonna also do the Freedom Trail,
Okay.
which I never really knew what it was.
I was going to say, does this have to do with like First Nation people? Okay,
No, that would be, I think that's the
Trail of Tears.
Trail of Tears.
Well, I know that's not in Massachusetts.
No, this is a pulled from Wikipedia, a 2.5 mile long path through Boston that passes by 17 locations significant to the history of the United States, marked largely with brick. So it kind of, I guess, just walks you through the city of Boston and all of its historical things.
The significant sites of history. I mean, yeah,
stop along the trail includes simple exploratory ground markers, graveyards, notable churches, and
who do you think is buried in Boston?
Maybe some presidents.
Do you think, where did they bury the presidents? Well, because was that where the first White House was? Where was the original White House?
The first White House
was it Pennsylvania?
I don't.
Because I know it wasn't DC originally, right? It was somewhere else, but
it was not DC originally. But I can't remember. I want to say it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think it might be Philly or somewhere in Pennsylvania. I should know that, but I think this is a great idea because people who grow up in Boston, it's probably something you just like kind of learn through osmosis. You hear it in elementary school, you hear this in middle school, you hear something about it in high school, but it's like, it's cool that we're going to just do like a nice, concise freedom walk to kind of hit all the main sites and be like, oh, okay, this is like the context of Boston in our national history and, you know, as sort of an earlier point of our country's history.
As a woke person, I think I do have to mention the hypocrisy of it being called a freedom trail. Sure. And I know that has like a lot to do with like the freedom of, you know, white people really from like religious freedom, right? And I think that was where it comes from. But I think we also like, I just think as like a person who cares about individuals in my society, we also have to note that is really kind of fucked up that it's called the Freedom Trail still, and we might want to just rebrand. It's just my note to Boston, maybe a rebranding.
Dear Boston, we get it. You overcame the Magna Carta and monarchicalism, but please.
But please. Also, George Washington occupied 2 private houses in New York, which served as his executive mansion, and then he had another one on Cherry Hill.
I don't chop down that freaking tree.
I don't know where that is.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Okay, see, Bex, she is on it. And the national capital moved to Philly in 1790, where it remained through 1800, so about 10 years. And then...
so what's the big deal with Boston? Who cares?
I don't know where it moved after that, but it went some other places, and it's lived. It has lived.
We're going to find out what's so cool about Boston.
Oh, we're about to find out. Okay, do you know any guesses on what is on this Freedom Trail? Because you already named one, actually.
Well, the harbor.
Well, Boston Common was the first one.
Oh, Boston
Common. Harbor's actual one. And that's where it starts. I don't see the harbor, but I'm sure that like you walk along the harbor. The harbor is not an official stop, it looks like, on the trail, but like I think you probably go.
What about the Liberty Bell? Oh, that's Philly again. I don't know.
So Massachusetts State House. So I assume that's like a state governing, you know, like their where the capital is, right? Park Street Church, which is a church. Don't know. That doesn't bring any bells. There's the Granary Burying Ground, which is the 3rd oldest cemetery in Boston.
Okay, there must be a lot of old dead bodies there. I wonder if they're like the stacked on top kind or
Paul Revere.
Oh, sure.
If Paul Revere is in the human stack, I would like to think he's at the top.
No, he's at the bottom. He's way at the bottom. Because they got to put people on top of him.
Yeah,
they're not going to keep adding him on top.
No, you gotta move him up. You gotta move him up.
No.
You can't put Paul Revere on the bottom?
He's literally first.
Paul Revere is not a bottom bitch, okay?
Oh Bex. My God. He's the foundation. He's the founding father of Boston.
You know what? Actually thinking of him as the foundation, I will accept, okay? You branded it in the right way for me. Thank you.
What about Samuel Adams?
Where's Sammy boy? Sam Adams, resting place.
And who was he? I forget. Was he one of the leaders of Boston?
He was not one of the leaders. He was one of our founding fathers. Okay. Where is he buried, though? Like, Wikipedia is like, oh, Granary. Yeah, he's in Granary burial ground as well. So he is
Boom.
hanging out over there. He was a colonist from Massachusetts, so he was tied to Mass, which I think Sam Adams beer is like from Boston area.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
hope they have
right?
the pumpkin when we're there. I want the pumpkin
I
ale.
bet they do. I can't drink beer, so
Oh, yeah,
I
you
love
can't.
this for you.
It's like the
Okay.
pumpkin spice latte of beers. I love it.
Are you gonna wear your UGG boots too? I
Oh
am.
my
So you better be wearing
god.
them too.
I'm going full Han Solo.
I love this. I love this for you so much.
Just a little puffer vest.
I feel like I actually love graveyards. I actually like surprise, I'm witchy. I think they're very peaceful. I enjoy them. It's a nice place to read a book. So
Jackie?
That's nice.
Why are you reading books in cemeteries?
Because it's quiet and I hate living people. So
There's
I
a
hang out
lot
with
of
dead
quiet
ones.
places.
Not anymore.
Okay. My apartment's too full of life.
It is. It really is. I sometimes, you just need to get down with the dead. I'm just trying to respect my ancestors.
I love that.
Okay. King's Chapel and King's Chapel Burying Ground. So we're going to go back to back graveyards. Okay. Have you ever heard of that? I've never heard of that.
Fit in a quick success, like a quick, what do you call it when you pray for forgiveness? Clearly I don't do it.
Oh, confession?
Confession.
How am I? You have way bigger religious background than I do.
I'm not Catholic.
Yeah, but you still have I have nothing. Like, we went to 2 years of Presbyterian church. Like, isn't your dad a pastor at some point?
Yeah, but we don't do forgiveness. We just do
You still
guilt.
have more exposure to religion than I have ever had until I became Wiccan, and now I'm my own exposure. Okay, yeah. So King's Burying Ground, noble burials. I don't know.
Noble burials. What monarchs?
I don't know. John Cotton, John Davenport. I don't know who any of these people are.
John Davenport sounds like familiar.
He was a Puritan theologian. I said that totally. Oh, Charles Apthrop, who was a slave trader. Should we go pee on his grave? I think we should. I'll wear a dress.
For easy access. Good thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to see some commons. We're going to see some graveyards, some chapels.
Okay, we're also going to see the Boston Latin School, which is very up Bex's alley. Didn't you take Latin?
I sure did. Qui est tu pater?
I feel like that's the same thing that you said last time you took Latin. What does that mean?
It means who's your daddy.
I love you. That's great.
That was our Latin team's slogan.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to hit up one of our favorite types of things. We're going to go to the Old Corner Bookstore, which, funny thing, when I was in Europe, I went to the oldest bookstore in Europe, which was in Lisbon, and it was cool.
I have been there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. We're going to go to the Old South Meeting House, which kind of rhymes and I enjoy. We're also going to go to the Old State House. Okay. This next one's going to be real nice. Are you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
We're going to go to the site of the Boston Massacre. Because I feel
finally.
Massacres and masquerades are really what I look for on trips. Just the two M's.
Masquerades and mass murder sites in Massachusetts.
Yeah. That sounds incredibly depressing, but I feel like I remember reading about this in high school and I have no memory of anything that happened.
This feels like a thing this trip is going to be up your alley the way like Watergate was, where I'm like, I hear words and I see things and not a lot of action going on in the brain cells up there.
Okay, I need yes, I do. I like to nerd out on the history. Okay, I don't know how to say this one, so I'm texting it to you. I can say the second word, which is hall.
Good job, Jackie. Faneuil Hall, perhaps?
Faneuil, yeah. I think that definitely looks right. Faneuil. So then we're going to go there, which I have also never heard of. The next one, Paul Revere's house.
Hell yeah.
I've heard of
British
Paul
are
Revere.
coming.
The
Woo.
British, yes. Let's get down. And then we have the old church, Old North Church, just the old church. Don't go to the old church. We're going to the new church. The Cops Hill Burying Ground.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of death on this.
Like they're like, check out all of
journey.
our dead people.
They're
Okay,
like, the
this
most
one,
interesting thing about Boston is who's died here.
well, and his William Copp's children are buried in this Cops Billion ground. So that's very
Haunted.
okay. So there's some authors that are here, a carpenter, some Puritans, a lot of Puritans.
Sure.
A lot of Puritans.
Sure.
No one that I found interesting. I think that first
I wonder if there's
burying
Quakers
ground.
there.
Ooh.
Quakers?
Oh, Quakers. Oh, I used to know some Quakers. I worked with them on a festival, and they were super interesting people. And just like their whole philosophy, and like, I actually was like, maybe I'm a Quaker. And then I decided Wiccan. Okay, we still have the U.S. Constitution. Okay, this is actually really cool. Oh, okay. When I say the USS Constitution, what do you think?
I think of John Hancock.
Okay, so the USS is typically,
Marines?
It's a boat. Yeah, right? Okay, now, what kind of, like, you think like a big gray boat, right?
Sure.
Okay, I'm sending you a link.
No, I think of like more like the Mayflower and the...
Okay, so that's what it is. I was thinking of a big, like, Navy ship like you see now, and it's like an old Mayflowery type of boat. So I'm excited about that. I bet that's in the harbor.
Oh, okay, so it's like a 2-for-1 sighting.
I bet you, yeah, I bet you we get the harbor when we go to the boat. Bunker Hill Monument is the second to last.
Is that a battle site?
Yes.
The battle at Bunker Hill.
And it like it kind of looks like the Washington Monument. It's like a big obelisk. And the last one, just to end it on a high note, and that's sarcasm, we'll go to the New England Holocaust Memorial.
New England Holocaust Memorial. So that's curious. I wonder if that's just like a satellite site of Holocaust history. Correct. Or if, okay, gotcha.
Because there's a Holocaust Museum as well in DC too.
Yeah. I think there's one here too in LA.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably, multiple of them all over the world. I imagine, like, I went to the...
That's weird that they put it on the trip though, or this route that we're taking.
It is quite interesting. I wouldn't, because it doesn't seem like that's part of like the history of Boston in particular. It's definitely the history, of the world and the United States as well. But I didn't know it. I don't know. Maybe there was a big Jewish population in Boston. I don't know. But that's where you
good
end.
For history. That's
where you end it. And that's what
what if we find out they're just the sponsors of this tour? They're like, and then you end up at our Holocaust Museum. Make sure to check out the gift shop.
You know what's actually I bought more things from the where was I? The Rwandan Genocide Museum than I've probably bought at any other like place with tchotchkes or whatever, but I was just like, I just want to give you guys all my money. Like, take it, please, just take everything I have. So I think that's important. That's history. Like, it's important that we know what's happened. Like, going to the Genocide Museum was one of the most probably impactful experiences of my life. Like, it's almost like a visceral experience, like remembering it, because I'm always like, I remember like the way that the air felt in that country. I remember the rain that day, and I remember like just being sick to my stomach for 2 hours straight, right? Just like when you have an awful test or something you're really nervous about, that's just like the way I felt the entire time. It was the energy, but I think it's important that we all look back and we know those things. It's not repeated. I don't know. I'm saying this as we live in a country right now where we're very divided and things are confusing. So
just describing the feeling of white guilt. It's important to recognize.
And as we like to do a little topper sometimes, if we have time, we're going to stop in at Cafe Susu, which is in Back Bay. and we're gonna sip a latte because apparently that's like one of like just the highly recommended Boston things to do. And
I
I
love
know you
that.
love a coffee, so maybe you could get your coffee. I can get a little tea, and then we can go down to the harbor, and I'll throw my tea.
Yeah, what if I throw coffee in there? Does that protest anything?
Mm. Should we just like throw like the patriarchy in there as a protest?
Please.
Well, I'm super excited. I know you've been there before, so I hope you're just as excited as I am. But maybe not because you're like I've been here. But it's always been a city I've wanted to explore, and I don't know if you got to explore last time, but I'm excited that we're going to be there for a longer period of time, and
Yeah.
that we're going to be able to squeeze a couple things in to look around in.
Yeah, hopefully I'll book a show while I'm up there while you're on your little road trip or something. So,
Wow. I'm sure you will find something. And you always say it's like what? It's like an old Irish bar somewhere. Well, they got
yeah.
a lot
Oh,
of Irish bars.
they got it in space over there.
Well, I'm excited. Let's go be Bostonians.
Let's go hit the Boston Commons. Experts now. I'm your co-host Rebecca. We've been exploring Boston. Throw to also
Oh, I'm
exploring
Jackie.
Boston with me.
Let's be real. I got off a flight last night. I am exhausted. After Boston, I went to Orlando. And as you remember, you told me about all the things that you were enjoying at home. And I was like, do not talk to
I was
me.
like, just saw my
So,
cat, hung out with my crush. Now I'm having dinner with my friends. And you were like, there's a baby next to my head, and I've been awake for 14 days.
yeah, that's essentially. Oh, and what was the
New,
new phrase I came up with?
yeah.
Same hell, different demon, right? Like, and that's that. And I came up with that before the baby on the plane. And then I swear, this was
So the
like,
baby was
I'm
the demon?
sorry. I'm gonna be that asshole. Yes, I don't bring your baby on a plane. I'm sorry. And if you are gonna bring your baby on the plane, it's sit in the back. Like, this is my opinion, but I was like, what happened was I
Okay.
was in like the front of economy, right? So there was like a big space right in front of me, and then they were like 4 rows behind me. So the baby would cry, and then to calm the baby down, they would bring the baby and stand right next to me and and calm it down. And so like even when like either way they were in front of me or behind me, and I felt so bad for this couple because the entire flight,
Jeez.
6 hours of this child just screaming. And I was like, this poor baby. Like, I'm not a total asshole that I don't realize the kid's not happy. They're not happy. Like, no one's having a good time. But I didn't get the joy of having a tiny human. Like, right? So, like, I am a little bit more upset about this because as a single woman who is 35 who doesn't have any children, I get sad about that sometimes. And when I have a screaming baby next to my face, and I'm like, I don't even get to hold the
That's
baby.
what we
Like, I don't
should
even
do.
get
We
to
should
like get the
pass the
baby
baby
love out of
around.
this action.
Everyone gets a turn.
I think that's the solution. If
Anyone's
you are
allowed to
going to
hold
have a
it.
baby on a plane, then you should let all. Yeah. New airline rule. Let's call the United. Hi, United. This is Jackie. Hope you know who I am at this point. Spend a lot of
We should,
time on your flight.
a lot of
Um,
surveys coming out of our travels this week.
oh, speaking of which,
Yes.
did you see my message earlier? So Bex and I had the
Maybe
funnest
we won't say
experience
what
at the
hotel,
hotel. What
but
happened at
a
the
hotel.
hotel? Okay, sure. We won't say what hotel, but
Oh,
what
what
happened at the
didn't
hotel,
happen at
Bex?
the hotel? It was a whole, yeah, a fire.
A
Despite
fire?
the fact that there were 13 fire alarms. Actually, that's a bit of an exaggeration. There were 10. There were 10. I mean, it was like
No, it's not.
and
Yeah.
we're going to the East Coast, so we're 3 hours time difference jet lagged. We have early morning meetings because we're there for work. We didn't choose to be in Boston at the freaking worst part of the city. I mean, it's like, no one's hanging out having fun down there. It's like we're there to work. And there's a freaking fire alarm.
No, there was good spots around there. It was just that we were literally on top of the conference
I guess
center,
that
which
is
is like
true. The
we had to like it was like a half a mile at least walk to anywhere like cool restaurant. So yes, it was not close, but
but
there
it
was
was
we were in Seaport.
yes.
It was cute. We liked Seaport, but
Yes, sure.
the convention center itself left some to be desired.
And the first time that we heard the fire alarm, I was so like disoriented and woken up out of REM sleep deeply that I walked to my like wall console where the air that controlled the air conditioning, and I just kept like pressing the biggest button, just hoping it was the off button, because it wasn't just a regular fire alarm. It was some sort of new, updated, inclusive fire alarm that like has words and a whole message. And in my sleep addled brain, I didn't know what I didn't know it was a fire alarm. I went
Oh,
back to
that was
sleep.
a live person. That was a live person because the message changed sometimes. That was a live,
I think
real
there's
dude who
different
just sounded.
recordings.
No, because one time it was after you left. There was like, well, and then you heard the one where he said, like, we promise there's
Well,
like
I heard
somebody
I heard that one,
coming.
but the it's like a lady voice that was like, if you this has been a blah 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 alert. If you hear another alert following this, proceed to the stairwell. And that I
Yes,
couldn't
yes,
compute it
correct.
in my brain. If it had been like a fire alarm, I would have been like, "Oh my god, I'm going to go to the stairwell." But it was like it was just like another voice in my dream, and I was like, "I'm being kidnapped. I have to go to sleep now." Like just nothing made sense, and it's like I would have perished first of all. But then I became very familiar with that freaking fire alarm, and it rang several times. We asked different people. Different people had different opinions. One guy said
It happened in different
it happened in
hotels.
different
We were over at
hotels.
the hotel across the street and it happened again. And then remember, all the doors closed on your floor, and me, who's a preferred member on one of the top floors, they were like, all the doors are open. You're on a top floor. You're not going to make it down anyways.
Yeah,
So
they're like, we
just,
don't bother after floor 8. Basically, it's like an automated feature where all of the doors to the elevator vestibules close so that you can't access the elevators and you will just take the stairs. But it's very spooky. And yeah, also not very encouraging that they're like, floor 14, yeah, you ain't gonna make it anyway.
also like, yeah, at least you got up. Like the first time I did not get up. I rolled back over and was like, who is that? And then the person came on and was like, it is a test, go back to your bed. And I was like, good thing, because I would have
Yeah.
died. And then like the rest of the time I didn't get up, which was so funny because today, as a California resident, today we had an earthquake and I got a text message, and I am so desensitized to alarms now that they were like, major earthquake hitting your area, and I just sat there and continued to pet my cat.
I also like that this was like a real litmus test of personalities. Like you didn't even get out of bed. I got out of bed and was confused, thought it was a dream. I was making it all up, went back to sleep. I heard a story of someone else at the hotel who, or you told me this, someone thought it was their they triggered it somehow, and they like called the front desk to be like, I'm so sorry. It's like I love that person that's like, I'm the problem, and I'm like, this isn't real. And
Or the rule followers who actually went downstairs and were like, I was downstairs for all this time. And I was like, oh, absolutely
but
not.
then
And then after the
yeah.
second one, I didn't.
And then by day like 3 or 4 of this happening, I remember at one point I was in the gym and the alarm went off again, and no one in the gym even like twitched a neck muscle. We were just like, just didn't even pay attention to it. And it's like, that's when the fire happens and we all die. Because at that point, the building has cried wolf too many times.
True crime story. Well, and I like how at a certain point, like I was conspiracy theoristing
Yeah.
and I was like, there's somebody going to all of these hotels. They are going in there and they are pushing buttons, and that's why this is happening. And everyone was like, no, Jackie. And I was like, you gotta think about it real deep. QAnon, where are you? You got my back?
But also someone was saying that they thought it was the city testing, and that maybe like I don't know, but then
that's what the hotel guy said to us. He was like,
that's one of our Uber guys said. That's what one of the Uber guys said. He said that the city.
Okay, somebody who seemed.
But then it's like, so the hotel is aware, but they're just not going to let us know that it's going to happen, and then the fire department has to come every time. What is happening? So that was a big highlight of the Boston trip. But great fire department, love them. And
okay, I tried to Google to see if I could get an answer, but like apparently this happens all the time because it's like July 2023 March 2023.
What? They're doing it every few months? I don't know. I just imagine the person who
I don't know.
installed that system is fired if it's not functioning, or it's a cruel joke.
I just love that they sent me a survey, and I answered that survey like very honestly.
Did you get anything for free?
12 minutes later, no, but 12 minutes, I got a phone call. I got 12 minutes later, like, Boston's calling me. I'm like, who the fuck is calling me from Boston? And no, it is the blank blank. And I was like, you don't want my feedback. I'm exhausted. I've been traveling for weeks, and you really don't want my opinion today. So.
But I'm like, maybe I'll get a free hotel stay out of it if I complain a little.
No, absolutely not. There's too many of us. There was too many people in the hotel that night. It was a completely sold out hotel, and you can't give everybody a free night. Like, it's just not possible.
Well, what else did we do while we were in Boston? I ate every fish I could find.
You did, in every form, in every way, on a lobster, and a bowl, and a soup.
Yeah, it was
and a
GD Cat in the Hat, or green eggs and ham, but green eggs and salmon. No, I actually didn't eat any salmon because I always eat salmon.
That wasn't even good, Bex. That wasn't even close. Green eggs and Sam I am.
I ate oysters. I had the Black Magic oysters at the Legal Seafood. That was a great location. It's actually known for their clam chowder, but I wasn't in a chowder mood.
I didn't even go, but I gave you the recommendation, so I knew what restaurant you had what food at.
I did get the oysters at Coquette, but they were on the bigger side, and they were still fresh, wonderful, lovely presentation. They just weren't my preference. I prefer the smaller West Coast, Washington or Japanese oysters, and I thought the Black Magic at Legal Seafoods was more along that alley, like up my alley, more bright. Just love a good seafood dish. And I had mussels.
I told you,
lobster.
I swiped right on a guy last night because he owns an oyster bar. So this is my gift to you, is trying to get you an oyster bar owner in the friend group.
Like, we go on a double date, but I'll just eat for two.
And can we go to your restaurant and be free? Thank you.
And yeah, it's glorious.
Okay, so if you are a follower on our Instagram, you might have heard us hint towards this. If you're not, go follow us on Instagram. We're Experts Now Pod. Also, like and subscribe our show if you haven't already. But
send us an email while you're at it. Leave us a comment. Do it all.
Yeah. Smash a button. If you are one of our Instagram followers, you might have seen us hint to this a little while ago, that we did go to multiple Boston public libraries.
We did, because we're intellectuals and we care about public libraries as municipal institutions of knowledge. And maybe we are not that good at using Uber, but also we care. And that's mainly what
Thank you for using we. Thank you for using we and Karen.
I mean, I'll take some solidarity. I wasn't the one who ordered the Uber, but I've certainly made my fair share of Uber mistakes.
You let me plan everything. So you have to accept that you might get some mistakes. You know who I am as a friend. I will not use this to say it now, but, because I'm going to use it for an amateur alert in the future. But there were some other directional challenges that we had on this trip as well. But what we were trying to do was make it to high tea at the Boston Library courtyard, which we did make it to the Boston Public Library, and we did have high tea.
We did,
but we had it in it was like there was like a room, I forget what it was called,
well,
like a special room next to it.
We had tea. We didn't have the high tea experience, but that's fine.
So for those of you who ever want to go to high tea and are just putting Boston Public Library into your Uber, make sure that you put in the Copley Square location or the Central Library location, or you might end up at, fun fact, one of the 26 other Boston Public Libraries that exist in the the general Boston,
And
Massachusetts area.
we were so lucky as to make a visit to the Jamaica Plains Boston Public Library, and we do send our best regards. It was lovely. A nice lady was taking her children to the park.
Well, it's a one room library, and you and I show up in our nice dresses.
And I'm like, we should have marched in there and demanded they serve us tea.
Even though it's closed. Well, the best part, as we're getting close, I'm like, I'm getting the sinking suspicion that we're going the wrong way, because like my Google Calendar was like, you need to leave now. It's 19 minutes away. And then we got in the car and it was like 36 minutes away. So I called
36. We drove so far the wrong way.
Well, and then I call them and I tell them I'm going to be 10 minutes late. We show up an hour late.
And I remember you also said you had a dream that it was actually 30 minutes away. And so the dream confirmed your bad directions. You were like, well, yeah, this is what the dream said, that it would take, half an hour, and it's because of traffic. And it's like, no, it's because we're going to a different zip code.
Well, in my dream, I did think that we were late because of the 30 minutes, because there was traffic. But yes, I did not dream that we were going to Jamaica Plains, which when the Uber driver picked us up on the way back from Jamaica Plains, she was like, oh, you guys were all the way out in JP. And I was like,
You're like, what's
what?
JP?
She was like, Jamaica Plains. I was like,
she was one of my favorite Uber drivers. She was very cool. She was very Boston local. She knew. And then we were like, where should we go? And she was like, go down near Fenway Park area. There's this restaurant. There's that restaurant. You're bougie. Oh, you want bougie? Here's this shopping.
Go to the place.
Was it Newberry or something? Newberry Park, something like that.
Well, and the Cheers restaurant. Actually, every place that she mentioned, we did not do. But they all seemed like great recommendations, and she was also my favorite Uber driver.
Yes.
Except for this guy I just had in Orlando, who was also fire. So.
I was going to say, except for the guy who, when we were talking about the Bruins, we were like, what sport is that? And he was, do you know? And he's like, no. We're like, okay. I see what you did there.
Or the one who made an illegal U-turn on a red light, like where it said no U-turns, and then he did it anyways, like in the middle of a red light. And I was like, okay, I guess. And that was the Uber driver. You looked at his picture and said he was cute. So
he had nice eyes.
Okay. Back to the episode.
But I didn't make eye contact, for the record.
Because that is cheating. Yeah. Crossing the line, people. Okay, Boston Public Library established. You want to make a guess?
Oh my god. How about 1925? It seems way too early.
Okay. Actually, that's a little late. It was 1848.
Oh my god, it's an old library.
Well, it really is. It was originally on Mason Street, and then moved to Basel. Okay. But okay, this is a fun fact. All of this is from the Boston Public Library website, by the way. In 1839, a French ventriloquist, M. Nicolas Marie Alexandre Vladimir, was a huge advocate. This was like his fucking dream. And I love that it was like a ventriloquist. Like, when in history have you ever heard someone be like, and you know who started this fight?
Yeah, also, where did he get the money?
Oh, no, he didn't give the money. He just was like, we should have a library.
Oh, okay. And then he was like, and check this out. My voice is over here now. And they were like, oh, we got to have a library. That's how they do it.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting like okay. Okay. I got this. Okay. In 1870 is when the first branch, so not the original library, the first branch was opened in East Boston. And between 1872 and 1900, so over 28 years, they made 21 more branches. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like by 1900, there was 23 branches of the Boston Public Library. I don't know why I think that's fascinating. Like, I just think it was kind of like when we were walking through the library and like we're just randomly walking, we're leaving, and then I just veer left because I saw a map room, and you're like,
Mm,
okay, Jackie wants to go in the map room now. Like,
checks out. Oh, library pun. But it was gorgeous. I also do like, though, that so once we finally were like, okay, I guess we didn't make it to high tea. Let's just have our nice tea time, a little snack. I had a snack. You were fasting. And then we were like, okay, let's go explore. And then we make it out to the gorgeous garden with a beautiful fountain. And just ahead of us swoops in a teacher with 32 students to sit right in front of the fountain.
and she's like, line up in front of the fountain, and we were like, we wanted to take a picture with. Okay, that's
Okay.
fine. We did get a really cute picture. We'll post it. But yeah, it was gorge, and it was a beautiful day, right? Like, it was such a
It
beautiful
was.
day. Okay, some more facts. Um, okay, this is a place of first, Bacandra. Okay, first,
Mm,
might I say. It was the first large free municipal library in the United States, which, like, whoop whoop, you go Boston,
okay.
like, we love
Okay.
it. It was the first public library to lend books, which is like super cool because you think about that's like
The
how it works.
concept of library. Oh my God, I love that.
Mhm. Well, you used to be able to go to the library and you would just only be able to read your book there, right? Like, you had to, like, you couldn't take it home with you. So they were the first ones that was like, what if we let them take it home? Groundbreaking.
Wow.
Groundbreaking. But I mean, if you think about it, like, that's part of the Industrial Revolution. Like, a lot of that's coming from that. Like, right? Like, there weren't enough books in like previous years for you want to like let people to take them home, right? Like, books were so precious. And then, like, as you hit the Industrial Revolution, we have manufacturing, we have all of these, like, we have news reaching much faster. Like, it was, it makes sense, but it's just kind of cool to think about that. Um, they were the first to have a branch library, so
Okay.
the first one to have their like own thing. And then I really like this. They were the first one to have a children's room,
Oh,
which is
cute.
cute. And they service over 4 million people every year. The mission of the library is focused on 4 core areas. So it's reading and literacy, spaces and programs, reference and instruction, and special collections and cultural heritage.
Mm.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I love a specials collections. I actually, I have worked in libraries for 5 years. I'm a big fan of libraries. I've worked circ desk. I've worked book repair. My book repair was my favorite. I inherited a book repair. Well, not inherited, but this grad student who was working there before I took the job, left her Ben Gay supplies of acid-free tapes, the needles that you like sew. You can sew spines back together. And I always loved the special collections. There was like a vault in the Ira Brind library where I worked at for 2.5 years it was a bank vault. So it was cool. The like door was like a big, like solid chunk of metal. It was just always permanently open, but it was really cool. And then it had the like collapsible stacks on the crank. It had all the periodicals. And then I had the key to the rare books collection that was like a small, like 10 by 10 room with like illuminated manuscripts. You had to wear a smock and gloves, and like the pages have like illuminated manuscripts are these gorgeous, gorgeous illustrations done by like
Yeah.
16th century monks with like the like first kinds of paint, and it's like so beautiful. And then they also had a pop-up book room where like you could just all the books were pop-up books. I love pop-up books. Actually, some of the books on my shelf up there are pop-up books. But yeah, and children's books. I love children's books too a lot. I have a special place in my heart for like Stella Luna and like Aristocat, or wait, what was the Flying Cats book? Cats with Wings by Ursula K. Le Guin. So good.
I also spent a minute in libraries too. Totally different experience than you, which I kind of love, is because I did historical research. When
Mm.
I think, I don't know if we actually fully touched on this, but I worked on a book on the Watergate Hotel, which is why I was so interested in, visiting and while we were in DC. And so in doing that, I did a lot of historical research, spent a lot of time in the State Archives of California. And I think it's like in the Treasurer's Building or the Supreme Court's house, their house, the Supreme Court's house. They all live together. And in their court. And so it's like an upstairs area, and like you have to like apply to be a part of it, and then you can apply to be in the bigger rooms. You have to like do all this stuff, and you get like the film and
Mm-hmm.
like all that. So that very different experience. This is also like in my stint in opposition research. So I love that you and I
You
both
love a
spent so much time in the
library.
library. Not surprising. You and I both enjoy a
So,
read.
yeah. Do you have more facts on the library?
Well, okay, you know I do. How many items do you think is in their collections?
Oh my goodness, that must be a high number. It was huge. It was like rooms and like 2 stories, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say there's a 250,000, 250,000 items.
Times that by almost 100. There's 23
No,
million items,
I
but
didn't
that
want to. I didn't want
includes
to guess high, and then you were like, no. So I wanted them. I wanted to
16.
seem
There's
cool.
16 books. No, there's books, maps, manuscripts,
Wow.
letters, drawings, and other original works that date back to the 10th century.
Oh, cool.
And then they have a couple of cool first edition folios by William Shakespeare. They have
10th century.
original music.
That's old. That's crazy
Mhm.
old. That's like
Almost as
almost the
old as
Dark
me.
Ages.
Yep,
That's
almost as old
crazy.
as me. The Dark Ages came along when I was born. They have original music scores by Mozart, which would be like super cool. And they have personal library of President John Adams.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I just found a lot of notes for a different thing, but that's great.
Okay. It's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I noticed that there was a very, I want to, maybe I'll look, see if I can Google what sculpture is at the Boston Public Library, because I kept seeing like photos of it in other places too. And so I was like wondering what this statue of
They're
Bacchante, me, and Infant Fawn.
Bacchante.
It sounds like
you know my main bitch
it looks like
Bacchante.
the same root as Bacchus. I wonder if it's at all. I mean, I don't know the story of Bacchante and the fawn.
It kind of sounds like Bacandra.
It kind of sounds like it's me.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Although we had a little bit of a miss on the Boston Public Library in high tea, we did not have a miss on the Freedom Trail, except for one very obvious thing. Fun fact number 1. And I put apparently, even though this is true, but I put apparently because I'm referring to us. The Freedom Trail is marked by red bricks.
Oh! Didn't put that together in the old noggin.
We followed my Google Maps every which way. And like, it was like, okay, now we have to stop for a second because I got to look it up on my Google Maps. Okay. But a couple of things to know. It's roughly 2.5 miles. I think it seemed like the vast majority of it was in the first like mile and a half. And then you were going to like cross a bridge and there was only a couple items left. So we didn't make it to the last 3, which is the Old North Church, Cops Hill Burying Cops Hill Burying Ground, and the USS Constitution. Those we didn't. Oh wait, no, I lied. We made it to Old North Church. We made it.
Oh
to
yeah, I
Cops
remember
Hill
Old North
Burying
Church.
Ground.
Yeah, isn't that where the
we did? When we missed the USS Constitution, Bunker Hill Monument, and the Boston Holocaust Memorial. Those were the 3 that we missed.
Yeah, I remember the Old North Church. That was just before we got lunch, I think, right? That was like the last.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I have most of them on one page of my notes, but 2 spilled onto the last page. And I was like, I know we didn't go to the last 3. But I
the Boston
myself.
Commons are really pretty. The park is gorgeous. It's like nice to see public spaces in a city like that. You know, big cities, they always have those like parks or public spaces. And I think Boston's are particularly well maintained and pretty and nice places to be.
There was gorgeous fountains. So that's the start of the Freedom Trail. You start at the Boston Commons. Open area, open park, like Bex was saying. There's a really weird statue.
Oh yeah, the arms.
Just the arms hugging, but it was like no head, no back, like just arms. And like from one angle it looked nice, but from a different angle it like really
It's a
disturbed
bit
me.
body
It
horror.
looks, yeah, it was weird. But you go from the Boston Common to the Massachusetts State House, which is, I don't know if it was like the original one or if it was, let's find out. It's also known as the Massachusetts State House. Oh, literally, it's literally one is Massachusetts State Space House, and the next one is AKA Massachusetts State House, one word, which I think is hilarious. And like it's also
Okay.
known. And this is the capital, and I think this is where they get business done still. This is where they're doing their thing. And then we left there. We went to Park Street Congressional Church.
Was that where the
Which is an
grave,
old Vinny.
the cemetery was that we were looking at?
And
There's only one cemetery that
no, that was King's Chapel, I think. Because where's B. Frank's? B. Frank's was before the old corner bookstore.
But I think it was all that same place, right? Like, because we were stuck in the one part, and then we had to go around to get to B. Frank's.
The Park Street Church was next to the Massachusetts State House, and then we walked by. We didn't walk by a funeral or a granary burying ground. We didn't walk by that one. Then we went to King's Chapel, which is the one where we were walking around the.
Oh, King's Chapel.
They
told us about his donkey.
And that's where that was over at the B. Frank's statue, because remember we were trying to figure out there's a little break in the fence where you can go from the burying ground to the B. Frank statue, which by the way that's Benjamin Franklin for those of you who can't read my mind. Good old B. Franks. You and I were like, should we hop this fence?
Well, I was like, I would hop this fence, but I feel like Jackie trips just walking.
I do, indeed, yeah. And then I tried to think about it for a second, and then we were both like, no, we're walking around. So we saw good old B. Franks. And then then we went to the Old Corner bookstore, which might be the worst bookstore that I have ever been to in my life, because what is it now, Bex?
A Chipotle. I mean, we could read the bags. There's a lot of text on those bags, Chipotle.
Lot of.
But I don't know why it still comes up on Google Maps if you can't actually go to the bookstore.
Well, I think they're just trying to say this is just a historical building, right? So it was built in this is interesting. This is Wikipedia. In 1718, it was a residence and apothecary shop, which I love. Okay.
Ethical drugs.
And in who doesn't love ethical drugs? Yeah, I don't really get why it's important. I'm gonna be real. It has a long Wikipedia page. If you want to know, I recommend reading it. And also, I guess a lot of famous people lived there over time. None of these ring a bell to me, but. So we went to there, which cute old building, and then we went to the Old South Meeting House, which was where we saw that bagpiper. Remember?
Oh yeah.
That, guy jamming on his bagpipes, vibing. And this is downtown Boston. I feel like this was the meat of the historic district or whatever, or the kind of downtown area. I don't really know how to explain it other than that, right? It just seemed like that was the busiest part of Massachusetts. Tons of tourists right around there. And then you are next to the site of the Boston Massacre, which is so uplifting.
Historic.
Which we didn't really see. That one was hard to find. We were on top of it, but I couldn't find a plaque or anything that was this is where it was. It was just on my map.
It was just
we were there,
it's here. Gestures broadly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what my phone did to me too. And then we walked over to Faneuil Hall, excuse me, which is where they had those sweet breakdancers.
Ah, right. And the Sam Adams.
The Sam Adams house, yeah, yes. Which you were like, we cannot bring Jackie to. She cannot eat here. And I went to the Paul Revere house, which had like quite a few people outside of it. People were vibing. We ended in Old North Church, which was like kind of next to like this little like Italian district. And it was like super cute. We stopped there. We were like walking, like, let's find a lunch spot. And then we kind of came upon a place that was gluten free.
Yeah,
And I was
and it
like,
was
we
really
were like,
good. And
dang,
apparently, there's a strong history of Brazilian people moving to Boston. So it was like a Brazilian meets Italian meets Boston menu, and it was really good. I had the
it was
calamari,
super
the
good.
calamar, and it was real, genuine, authentic calamari. None of that pig butthole stuff. Have I shocked you into silence? Did you not know? You
Why do
don't
you
eat calamari,
always
so you don't know this. But for people who love calamari, if you get calamari at like a bar and they just serve, it's just rings. It's probably frozen pig anus because that's ring shaped and they just batter and fry it. But if you go somewhere very nice, you get the actual like squid ones with the tentacles. That you can trust is probably authentic seafood.
I'm just trying to figure out why you talk about eating like pig butthole so much.
I mean,
Because then you did this to me when we were talking about sausages or something one time, and I was horrified.
well, I mean, hot dogs have like eyelids in them and stuff.
I feel like you said eyelids and buttholes, and I was just like
I think
destroyed.
it's like intestines and stuff in hot dogs. But I'm not
I
a big
don't
hot
know,
dog
but
person anyway.
I I will say I do like I like a beef hot dog. Okay, I don't want to talk. I can't talk.
Listen,
Okay,
I'll eat it. I'll eat it all.
I I also saw, what did I see? Down by we went to Trade one night for dinner, and I walked around before that, so I went over to where the Boston Tea Party was and looked at. Oh, and then when we walked back, we passed
Yeah.
it too. So that was pretty cool to see. It was not on the Boston tour per se, but we definitely got to see it anyways. What else did we see back? 'Cause I feel like we did so
We
much in
really
that
did. I mean, I
city.
passed by the Children's Museum and I really wanted to go. I did look up online that if you are an adult coming without children, you do get put on a list and you must leave your identification at the desk. And I was like, maybe this isn't really what I want to do with my precious time off. I did some stand up at the Dugout Cafe over by
I was
the
gonna
BU
say,
Campus for Arts and Sciences. So that was a fun new neighborhood to explore.
I mean, I knew I was in a college bar by the smell. And like I was like, just like, this is stale beer and butthole. That's all it is. Like, as someone who spent a lot of time in college bars, like, not hating at all, but what I am saying is that I am far too old to be in one now. Like, I was like, I didn't want to touch anything. Like, I just felt like old and gross because I was like, young people are just vibing. Like, they're not here for the decor. They're here with their friends. They're listening to a comedy show. Like, they're having their best time. And like, I am this bougie old bitch, and I wasn't
I
made
went to
for.
Laughs Boston. I saw a show there, so that was really fun to see that one kind of a bigger club, and it was pretty sold out. What else did we do? I mean, we did a lot. That
We
was
went to a
fun
bar
day.
that one night. I don't remember the name of the
Oh
bar. All
yeah,
I remember is down some stairs, and it was a speakeasy. And I remember
they were
I
over
texted my
serving people there.
friend.
I'm actually kind of glad we don't remember the name because I was a little mad because they were serving. It was again like a handle of vodka with a splash of Sprite. And I actually asked for a water and I got a vodka seltzer. So I don't know how that happened. I didn't drink it. I ended up getting a water later, which they shamed me for. And this was after I had gone to the bathroom and there was a girl retching, just vomiting next to me. The bathroom was disgusting. The floor was
Oh
wet,
yeah,
like
yeah.
everywhere. And I would, part of the, service industry warrior in me wants to report them for over serving. But hey, it's Boston. They handle their liquor.
Yeah, don't do that. Like, just let people live their lives. It's like you just like we just know that that's not our bar, right? Like, 5-10 years ago, that would have been my bar. I would have loved it. I made literally zero money, so I wanted a cup of vodka because I could probably only afford one or two, right? Like, so like that bar, I think, had a little bit of a younger crowd. Again, I was like, I think I'm too old for a lot of these experiences because it was definitely a vibe. I did drink that cup of vodka, and I definitely texted our friend that the friend that brought us there, and I messaged him, and I was just like, why am I so drunk? And he just says, you're welcome.
Yeah. It was a good way to end our trip because after that, I went home, got 2 hours of sleep, and was on a plane back to LA. So that was.
I, on the other hand, stayed in Boston all day and then went to Orlando, which I complained about the entire 26 hours I was there. So here I am. But now I'm home. As I told you, I woke up in the middle of the night, didn't know where I was. I have like cream sheets so they can kind of look like a hotel, but I have like two green pillows. And so I like woke up and I saw my green pillow and I literally cried. I was so happy. Like I've never been like more joyed to be in my home and living my life.
And then your fire alarm went off.
No, the earthquake alarm.
Oh, yeah.
Was what was going off.
And you were like, I'm back in California. There's no earthquakes on the East Coast.
But I loved Boston. I thought it was a great time. I enjoyed so many of the experiences. The FedEx I did not recommend.
We also had some great Greek food at Sportello.
No, Trade.
Trade was Greek.
Sportello was the Italian. That was also really good. Yes. Ooh, shout out to Sportello. That I was like, I'm gonna be a pain in the butt. Order something completely off menu. I ordered a gluten-free fettuccine alfredo, and it was amazing. I loved it, and they gave me like the smallest, like right size of pasta cream portion because like when you're eating it, you could eat it for days. But they were like, no, you will be sick if you eat more than this. And I was like,
and then what was the brunch spot that we went to that had the Bloody Mary bar?
Old Public House.
Public House. That was really good too.
Boston Public House. Maybe?
I think it was Boston Public House. Yeah.
It was something with Public House. I just looked it up. Bostonia Public House.
No,
that's...
Yeah, I think that's it.
It's Bostonia Public House. Yeah, that was really good. I got a goat cheese frittata, which you and I did a deep dive on frittatas in that. We learned that they are Spanish, but they are normally in a bigger dish than I had it. So we learned so much on frittatas that day.
I mean,
and any other recs for Boston? Like, besides going, hit it up. Peeps.
Go to Boston. It's a fun time. People there they've got that East Coast brusqueness. They're going to be a little maybe confrontational. They're going to shout at you. They're probably smoking a cigarette, but they're
in a nice way.
But they're lovely.
Like, hey,
they're so
yeah,
they're fun. They've got the Catholic guilt. They've got Italians. They've got the Irish. They've got the Greeks and the Brazilians. And like, it's just like, it feels like a really accessible city. Public transport, Jackie would never dare, but it's very good public transport there. And, very walkable.
Taking the train. I thought about it. Where was I? Where someone I was in that Uber in Orlando and I had this really nice driver and he was like talking to me about how he takes the bus to Miami. And he's like, there's 5 different buses that you can pick from. And in my head, I was just like, I picked one. But anyways, hit up Boston, friends. We recommend, and as you heard from our previous episode, we also highly recommend Salem. If you were there, check them both out. See the Bruins, the Red Sox, the Patriots, and I just named 3 sports
Jackie
teams.
is sports.
Oh, and the Celtics. I got 4. And I know what sport each one of those are, so I deserve an award, peeps. All right, let's go be Bostonians.
Boston. That was great. And that was the show. Thank you everyone for watching, and we hope you stay curious.
If you enjoyed this video, watch our other videos here on YouTube, or you should listen to the episode on We're Experts Now podcast. Bex, where can they find us?
You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart Music.
And what if they want to talk to us?
If you have ideas for something you want us to investigate, send us an email at we'reexpertspod@gmail.com. That's wereexpertspod@gmail.com.
Great job on that spelling.
Ooh.
A+. Do you do this professionally?
I believe we're both doing it professionally right now.
Wow. People should know about this.
I completely agree, and you can find us on Instagram at We're Experts Now Pod.
Thanks again. And if you enjoy the show, subscribe and comment, and do not forget to leave a 5-star tip.
That's a great idea. Are you a podcast expert?
I think we both are. I think
We're experts now.
This has been a Just Being Better media production.